Hi everyone, my name's Dan,
And my name's Zach.
and this is Digital Pinnacle's top 5 highlights from the Xbox media briefing at Gamescom 2015.
Kicking off at number 5, we have Scalebound. Scalebound is a new IP by Platinum Games, who are well known for creating the Bayonetta series. It was announced last year at E3 2014 with a cinematic trailer, so this is the first glimpse we have seen at gameplay. And so we kind of thought that as a new IP, this looks really interesting and unique, which is why it's entered our top 5.
Yeah, definitely. The first thing I noticed was the quirky and playful style that you've got. You've basically got an action-adventure, RPG sort of style game. You've got dragons, swords, armour, things like that. But then straight away you notice that the protagonist has got like headphones. They're playing like dance music rather than your average sort of music that you get in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I thought was that there could be a real good opportunity to show the relationship between the player and the dragon. You know, can you direct the dragon? Can you control it? Can you play as the dragon? It seems like there's a really good kind of unique opportunity for them to explore this kind of relationship.
Definitely. One of my favourite parts, actually, about the whole sort of trailer, gameplay, whatever you want to call it, was the level design. I thought there was loads of vibrant colours. It was really, really interesting to see. Like maybe there's like the floating islands, which obviously leads to cool things with the dragon.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, not too much has been shown, so we don't really know the time era. You know, whether it's kind of futuristic, whether it's in the fantasy things.
We can't really tell because
Exactly.
obviously you've got headphones, which is technology, yet everyone's swinging swords at each other and there's some kind of magic. They also, I mean, one thing that I thought was really great was the 4-player co-op. There's not many games doing that at the moment, so the way like they all sort of, it maybe it's drop in, drop out, the way like he was facing a really tough enemy, then the next minute he's got 3 other players.
And it's good to see, it's good to see Platinum Games sticking to what they're good at and fusing it with what Xbox is good at, which is multiplayer.
At number 4, we have Dark Souls 3. Whilst it may not be an Xbox exclusive, this trailer was shown at the Xbox media briefing. The first thing I noticed was the incredible graphics. Like all of the other games in the Souls series, this game really looks to be the pinnacle of what the best graphics are at the moment.
Absolutely.
I thought maybe you might be running off the Bloodborne engine.
And something that I really, really like is that it looks like Dark Souls is going back to its roots. We've got the original director back on board for Dark Souls 3. And it just looks like there's a lot of nice references to Dark Souls 1. You've got the dragon guarding something and breathing fire onto you.
Yeah, I think I remember dying at that point on the first Dark Souls.
Other references like kind of like the castles kind of look a bit like an Orlando, and the lighting and stuff like that. It's really reminiscent of the first Dark Souls game.
Definitely. And then after the cinematic portion of the trailer, it goes into an actual gameplay section where we get to see the combat properly for the first time. It does look very similar to the combat that we've seen in Dark Souls 1 and 2. You've got the classic hardcore combat that we all know and love, but with some great additions. Firstly, I noticed it was a lot more fast-paced.
Absolutely, it looked a lot more brutal, and like you say, fast-paced. And this may be because of the rumour we've been hearing about of something called sword arts, which essentially lets you change the way your character uses weapons. So we saw a character, doing a spinning kind of hit with a sword, and he was kind of, another guy was like combat rolling and using his bow and arrow. Or it looks like there's a really broad variation in the way that you can use your weapons if this is the case.
Yeah, it really looks like they're mixing it up, unlike the transfer between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2.
This looks like they're mixing it up, they're changing it.
Exactly, and I think it's going to be a really great addition to this series.
This is the last Dark Souls game, and the trailer shows it. It's got a dire tone. It makes it seem like this is the concluding chapter to the Dark Souls series, so we're really looking forward to it. And we will be doing a breakdown of this trailer, so please stay tuned for more. For number 3, we decided on Rise of the Tomb Raider. Rise of the Tomb Raider is a timed Xbox One exclusive coming out later this year. It is due to be released on PS4 and PC next year. The reason we decided to put it as number 3 was mainly because of how well they showed off the mechanics of the game, especially compared to the lacklustre display of the game at E3.
Definitely agree with that. The gameplay appeared to me so much similar to the original, the reboot of the series, but has been refined to improve it. For example, the way she climbed the tree when stalking an enemy, and then pretty much diving on an enemy like you do in Assassin's Creed or something like that. It was a lot of new gameplay mechanics. I thought the stealth in this game looked really impressive. I'm a massive fan of stealth games. I've never been a kind of guy who runs in all guns blazing. I kind of like to slowly, tactically think about how I'm going to take the location.
And it seems like this game allows you to cater towards both those needs. You can either go stealthily and tactically like you see in the first half of the gameplay presentation, but then towards the second half she goes in all guns blazing, so it really caters towards both.
Exactly, as I say, as a fan of stealth, I thought it looked really impressive.
Yeah, apart from the bit where she stands in another room, barely hidden, and throws a bottle to distract a guy, and he doesn't even see her.
Yeah, I mean, he probably should have seen her at that
Yeah.
point. That's like sort of classic stealth stupidity gameplay.
Exactly.
Although it's not really as bad as Skyrim.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, you know, it really appears to throw you into a deep and explorable world where you're free to approach different tasks how you want to. It seems kind of like Far Cry in the sense that, like we said, you can go stealthy, or you can go and shoot everyone up to pieces.
Yeah, I really like that about a game, the way it gives you the choice to decide how you want to do it.
Absolutely.
Now, going on to the graphics, although we don't always like talking about the graphics too much, it is an important part. For me, I thought, although it was quite a dark showing of the game, it was like at night time, there was a lot of rain, it did look really, really realistic. And one thing that the reboot of the Tomb Raider series has done, in my opinion, is the way that it throws you into a world that normally, let's say if you were a tourist, it'd be beautiful, you've got forests, rivers, you've got ancient ruins, all that kind of thing. But instead, because of the way this game is, it throws you into a world where it's dark, it's gritty, it's harsh, and that environment is out to kill you. Coming down at number 2, the classic Xbox exclusive, Halo 5 Guardians.
As somebody who has played Halo since the original Combat Evolved game, the Halo announcements were extremely exciting for me.
I personally have never been a massive Halo player, but even with my little amount of Halo knowledge, I was sold on those 3 announcements.
What I'm really glad to see is that Halo 5 Guardians is really mixing it up. They've developed and changed the iconic multiplayer for the better by adding interesting additions such as armour abilities, which allow you to boost and ground pound and slide, and smart scopes, which allow you to zoom in with various different weapons. So it's really great to see them changing the game. But on top of that, they're also returning back to its roots. They're going back to the close quarters arena style gameplay, which is what made Halo famous. You know, these close quarters, refined combat scenarios.
It really looks like they're catering for everyone, with having large Warzone multiplayer and then the smaller close quarters arena multiplayer, which is something Halo 4 was criticised for not doing.
Absolutely, you know, Halo 4 was big maps and that was it, whereas Halo 5 is going down a bit. You know, it's 5v5 or 4v4, you know, it's really, really great.
In the actual competition that we saw on the showcase, we could see a very small map, really quick play, and it was like a 12-minute long game. Obviously, they shortened it down for the video,
Yeah.
but it was much fast-paced than what we saw in Halo 4,
Absolutely.
so I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. The next Halo-related announcement at Gamescom was Halo Wars 2. It was only a teaser trailer, but it was an amazing surprise. You know, we haven't really heard anything about that game, and so just, you know, seeing that trailer and that announcement was absolutely great.
And it wasn't just game announcements. The final surprise for the Halo section was the announcement of a 1TB limited edition Halo-inspired console. As someone who doesn't normally like exclusive design consoles, this one looks so good. Some of them can often look gimmicky for me, but this one looks really well designed,
Yeah.
and it has subtle artwork rather than being really in your face.
Absolutely, you know, it really looks like they've taken it down. You know, they thought, what makes Halo Halo? The appearance and the aesthetics, and they've really designed a console that kind of symbolises Halo. I really like how there are 2 controllers, one designed inspired by Spartan Locke and the other inspired by Master Chief. And so it's really playing on this choose your side, kind of the campaign they've been doing at the moment. So it's just, you know, really, really nice little details that are making this game just look to be absolutely amazing. Finally, at the pinnacle of Xbox's Gamescom, at number 1, we have Quantum Break.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can argue with this number 1 spot. It was just a really impressive trailer, something I wasn't expecting, mainly because it has been 2 years since its original announcement. Normally when it takes that long until we get some solid information about a game, people have lost interest, but this trailer really brought my focus back onto the game.
And an aspect that I really liked was how there's going to be a TV show tying into the game. And what's more, the TV show actually looks like I want to watch it. You know, it looks really good. And it's surprising based on previous examples of TV/game tie-ins. which haven't really been that kind of successful. This really seems like it's a TV show that I would like to watch.
Yeah, we only saw a little bit of it cutting in and out of the trailer, but it looks like it's got a lot of excitement, and the way it ties in with the game looks really
Absolutely,
interesting.
yeah.
A huge surprise for me was the all-star cast. As the protagonist, we have Shawn Ashmore, whose most famous role is Iceman in the X-Men film series.
And also it appears as the game's main antagonist. It's the shady Game of Thrones character Littlefinger, known in the real world as Aidan Gillen.
Now moving on to the actual game, we were blown away at how good the gameplay looked. It looked unique, exhilarating, and most importantly, fun. The player is able to stop time, pause time in targeted areas, and dash from cover to cover using time manipulation. Also, time manipulating soldiers seem to balance the game and stop you from being too overpowered.
Absolutely, and that's something, when you're fighting the soldiers in this gameplay demo, you just looked like you were absolutely destroying them with these awesome abilities, but then you get these soldiers that are able to actually fight you in the pause time. And so, like you say, that really balances the game out.
Definitely.
And finally, the one thing I have to say is just how nice the game looked. The time travel elements just looked so interesting, the way they had fractures of times and the pulsating waves and ripples of time going through the concrete and almost like fragments of glass when he paused time. It just looked so intriguing, and they could have just made it just look really bland, but instead they went for a really stylised and unique way of portraying time.
Yeah. As I say, I was really surprised by how good this trailer was. After what we saw 2 years ago, I don't know if anybody can remember, I think it was at E3 when the Xbox One was first been announced. We saw some sort of boat crashing into a bridge. It didn't really look particularly interesting.
It just didn't really show much of the game, but this definitely did it justice.
We can definitely see how much it's changed in the last 2 years, and I'm really, really excited for this.
And finally, one thing that I do have to say is the sound design was great as well. The stuttering when you're pausing time, and the sound of glass breaking. It was just exceptional sound design. So we're really looking forward to Quantum Break.
Yeah. Stay tuned on our channel, because we're going to be doing a full breakdown of the trailer, just to have a better look, a deeper look at what's going on in there.
Before we end the video, we would like to talk about a few honourable mentions.
Firstly, we have Forza Motorsport 6. We thought this game looked great, but in the end we decided not to put it in our top 5, simply because the video we saw didn't grab our attention as much as other titles.
Secondly, we have Crackdown 3. In our first glimpse of gameplay, it showed impressive destructible environments, which holds potential, but not enough gameplay was shown for us to make a verdict.
Okay, so that was our top 5 Xbox highlights from Gamescom 2015.
Thank you very much for watching our video. Please let us know what you thought of the video and what your own top 5 Xbox highlights would be in the comments section below.
If you would like to see more videos from us, please subscribe and stay tuned for more.